everyone, and welcome to our picture book edition of Meet the Creator for March 2025. And I have a beautiful book to talk to you about today. And I'm very happy to be interviewing Kobina Commeh about Kwesi and Nana Ruby Learn to Swim. So welcome, Kobina. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Hi Bev, how you doing?
Not too bad. I know it's very early where you are at the moment, so I'm feeling very conscious that you poor person have had to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning. So thank you very much.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
are you happy to share a little bit of a reading with us, please?
Yes, this is a book that I wrote that a Brazilian illustrator named Barbara Quintino helped me with. It's called Kwesi and Nana Ruby Learn to Swim, and this is an excerpt I'd like to share with you. Starts with, "You will be an expert swimmer, like Mami Wata," said Nana Ruby. "Who's that?" "She's half woman and half fish. My Nana told me stories about her. She has locks swimming down her back. Her skin is as dark as the deepest end of Lagoon Lake." "She sounds beautiful," Kwesi said. "She is, and she's the best swimmer. We can call on her for protection when we go into the water. She can help our arms and legs feel strong enough to swim as well as she does." "Is she real, Nana? Let's find out. How about we make a deal?" Nana rubbed Kwesi's head. "I will learn how to swim if you do." Deal. The night before his first swimming lesson, Kwesi dreamt he dove into the lake. A soft hand helped him float on his back and lifted his chin to the sky. Mami Wata sang in his ear. "Oh, little child, my little child, don't be afraid, I'm here for you. Sky is blue and water is too. Oh, little child, I'm here for you." That's it.
I have to say, when I read it to my granddaughter, I didn't sing anywhere near as well as you did. That's beautiful. Thank you for that. So I understand this is your debut pitch book. And indeed, your day job is very different from being a writer, from what I gather. So, what inspired you to write this story?
It was just watching my little one swim. I was born in Ghana and raised there till I was 16 years old, and then I came to the US with my family. And so, coming here was definitely a different experience. And as the years went on, I tried swimming a couple of times, once in Ghana, almost drowned in the ocean, and then once at a water park in the US. And so I gave up on it. Fast forward, as the years went on, I'm still writing in different capacities, but studying to be a foot doctor definitely takes up all your energy. And so I wrote a little bit here and there. Then when my daughters were born, we made sure we got them into the water. And I mean, I'm in there with the water, not knowing how to swim with them. When they were about 4 or 6, I just noticed them just being very brave in a 9 foot deep pool, just swimming all the way across with no fear. And that motivated me to say, you know what, I need to be able to have fun with them in the pool and not be afraid. The way I process fear, things I'm uncomfortable with, is usually to write about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the book was born. The Nana Ruby part was because during the pandemic, my daughters didn't get to meet my Nana Ruby, and but because she passed away, and that sorrow kind of I rolled that into writing the book to honor her.
Which it certainly does. I loved the warm relationship that you portrayed between Kwesi and his nana. Obviously, being a nanny myself, I absolutely loved it. So, it mentions in the book, and I really enjoyed the factual notes at the back of the book. I found they really added something to it for me, added to the experience. But would you mind discussing a little bit, why do so few African American children swim?
Yes, just from segregation, also from colonialization, the swimming is something that needs to be taught. We're the only mammals that need to be taught swimming. And so swimming is usually passed down from family generation to generation. And so once segregation severed that, at least in the US, that definitely made sure that 70% of African Americans do not know how to swim. It should be around 20, 30%. in any population, but it's that high because that knowledge was severed. And that's why I felt like it was important to mention because it is a stereotype.
Yeah.
Black people can't swim. It's just a matter of encouraging people gently to swim. And my own friend Rob over time encouraged me to swim, and it just didn't take. I think he tried to teach me once. My wife, who was she's African American, she is was on swim team, and she also tried to teach me. It just didn't take because once you almost drowned or once you haven't learned at a young age, it's much more difficult.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted our kids to learn early on. And that's why I wrote the book in the kids format to inspire the kids at this age because it's not fun learning at 40
No.
or yeah.
No, but also I think it will have a positive effect on the parents as well, I suppose. If you can
I
encourage
hope
the
so.
children, hopefully they will encourage the parents, which is a great thing. So the story is based in part on mythology, isn't it? Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
I love mythology. My grandfather used to tell me, a lot of stories about just different cultures and their mythos. And so any story I write, spoiler alert, will always have mythology in it. In this case, it's Mami Wata because she is the protector of the waters. And so when you go into the water, especially for women and children, she's a nurturing character, and so felt like it was important to have her in there as because water is life. Water is 70% of the population of the Earth's surface is water. It was important for me to have her in there to encourage whoever reads it, especially kids. I feel like kids are attracted to mythology just innately.
They are, but I think also they miss out a little bit now. We're perhaps not passing those stories down as much. So I loved that aspect of it. I really did. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So Kwesi and his nana are Akan.
Akan, yeah,
Akan.
yes. Mhm.
And can you tell me a little bit about their origins and customs? And I was particularly interested in the information about the different names that people are given.
Yes. So my name's Kobina, which means I'm a male born on Tuesday. And so there are a bunch of Kobinas walking around in the Akan culture. And that's why most Ghanaians will have multiple names. Like they'll have their first name, middle name, another name, and then their surname. And for example, my sister's name is Laura, but she has her Ghanaian name, which is actually Nana and Yaba and then Commeh. And so my parents made sure that we had our Ghanaian names. And I felt like it was important to add that into the story so that kids that not of just, Ghanaian origin, but just in the African diaspora can know that these names are important. When you're given a name, it's for a reason. And adding the day names and then in the back matter, kind of showing the different days and their day names for male and female, I thought like that would catch somebody's eye.
It was very interesting. Very interesting. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Uh,
Yeah.
I just fell in love with Barbara Quintino's illustrations. I mean, oh my goodness me, they are just stunning, aren't they?
They
Absolutely
are.
stunning. Did you have the same feeling when you saw the illustrations? Are they how you saw your story?
And so, quite interestingly, the Barefoot Books and my editor Autumn, they were great. I was very involved in the illustration. They always sent me samples for me to look at. But even before that, before we picked Barbara, just her energy and excitement about doing the
Yeah.
project, I go off of energies, and I felt like she was the right choice just from the very beginning. And so I love to watch other creators do their work, and I like them to have their bandwidth to do their thing. And when I first saw the first few illustrations, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she just from the very beginning, even before she drew anything, I had a really, really good feeling about her.
Well, and that was certainly proved to be right. I mean, it's stunning, absolutely
Yeah.
stunning. And it was great to read when she put in the back of the book that illustrating the book inspired her to start being in the water more and to try and
Hmm.
learn to swim. I thought that was just wonderful because that's what you want to happen, don't you? You want it to inspire people. So
Yes.
that was
Yes,
absolutely
Bev. That
lovely.
and that was unexpected. It was when I think I wrote my author notes, and we found out when she wrote her illustrator note. That's how we found out that it had inspired her. So that was a very pleasant surprise.
I can imagine. It must have made your day, if not your week, I think,
It
reading
did.
that.
It did.
So, obviously, this was your debut, but is it going to be your only, or are you working on something else now?
I've been working on things for 10 years. I probably have 4 or 5 complete manuscripts that I send out to publishers here and there, and I hope they get published. I love those works too. And this one was very, very close to home, obviously, so I didn't send it out to a lot of publishers because it was to honor my grandmother and to show how the young ones in our life can also inspire us, and to show that across generations we have things in common and we can work through problems together. And so my other works, I feel like, also have a similar tone,
Mhm.
and I'll be excited to get them made. Hopefully not. Hopefully it doesn't take 10 years again.
Well,
But
one would hope not. One would hope not.
yeah,
I very much hope so because I'd love to see anything you put out next. I mean, I really did enjoy the story, and so as I say, so did my little granddaughter. I think
oh,
it's very joyful, and
okay,
it's very much about not just about learning something new, but as you say, it's about that relationship between him and his grandmother. And I don't think your nana could have a more fitting tribute, Kobina, because
yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah. And Bev, honestly, it's about my Nana Ruby. However, it's about all the grandmothers in our lives, because anyone that I've met have been amazing. They have their own kids, they take care of them, and then they do it again,
Yeah.
right? With the the grandkids. I mean, you're the heroes in my mind, and so it's for you. It's for all the grandmothers that I know.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, I think it's a very, speaking as a grandmother, it's a very precious, different relationship in a way that you have with your grandchildren because you're able to do all the good stuff, all the fun stuff, really. You're not thinking about feeding them and teaching them
Mm,
stuff like that, but it is lovely when you can be involved with teaching them things as well.
yeah.
Those that are watching and listening to this will know from the past that I can give no greater accolade to a book than to call it a huggable book. And this is a huggable book. It's the
Oh,
book that
thanks, Bev.
you wouldn't want to give anybody else because you'd want to keep it yourself.
I
Definitely.
love it. I love it.
Well, we have sadly run out of time. Thank you so much for getting up so early to talk to us. And I do
Of
apologise for
course.
that. But we will definitely be looking forward to anything you write in future. So thanks ever so much for coming to talk to us, Kobina. And hopefully you can go back to bed now.
Nope, straight to work.
Oh, dear. Okay. Well, I wish you a good day at work and a
Yeah,
good week. Thanks ever so
yeah.
much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the March edition of Meet the Creator Middle Grade. And let me just say, before we even start on this interview, you're going to need tissues, guys. Definitely, definitely. I wish someone had told me that before I read it because I definitely needed tissues. So today I am going to be interviewing Olivia Wakeford about her brilliant debut novel, which is called My Dog. So welcome, Olivia. Thank you for coming to talk to us.
They're very happy to be here. Thank you.
Are you happy to give us a little bit of a flavour of the book with a reading, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to be reading from chapter 4. And up until this point, I'll just give you a little bit of a summary of what's happened. So my main character is a 10-year-old boy called Reese. And at the beginning of the book, he finds a dog, a black Labrador, under his mum's hospital bed. And she's very ill in hospital. And he absolutely loves dogs, and he kind of gets a bit obsessed with this dog under the bed. And in chapter 2, his mum actually dies. And then he finds the dog again the dog turns up in his garden, and he's determined to try and find out who the dog belongs to. And because he found the dog in a hospital, and he knows a lot about dogs because he's a junior dog rescuer, because he found the dog in a hospital, he thinks it must be an assistance dog. So he decides to call the hospital and find out if anyone has contacted them to say they're missing a dog. So this is from chapter 4. And I apologise in advance for my not very good Welsh accent. The phone rings 4 times. Then a woman answers. University Hospital of Wales? Linda speaking. How can I help? My mind goes blank. Mam's on Ward 5, but I already know that the dog's owner isn't there. Hello? Is anybody there? I put on my most grown-up voice. Hi, hello there, good morning. I found a dog in the hospital yesterday, in Mam's room. A dog? We don't allow dogs in the hospital. He's an assistance dog. Maybe Linda doesn't know as much about assistance dogs as I do. I see, she says. But Myra, the nurse, said no one on the ward had an assistance dog, so he's not from Ward 5. But maybe he belongs to a visitor or a patient from Ward 4 or 3 or 7. I don't know if there is a 7, but there's definitely a 1 and a 2 because we passed them on the way to 5. So his owner might be on one of those. There's a Ward 6 too, I think. I stop, worrying that I've said too much. After a pause, Linda says, Is this a joke? Maybe she's someone like Dad who doesn't like dogs. What? No. Do your parents know you're calling? No. My mam she's... I swallow, a lump rising in my throat. Linda isn't listening, and I don't know what else to say. I stare into the dog's eyes and try again. My voice comes out all wobbly. The dog is lost, and I'm trying to help. Is that right? I swear it's the truth. She sighs. Please, my voice cracks. All right, give me your details. I can make some inquiries. Relief floods through me. I tell her all about the dog, then give her my number. Did you get all that? I don't know what his name is because he doesn't have a collar. Yep, I'm writing it all down now. Reese Labrador. Black? He's a black Labrador, a really cute one. I reach for the thick fur on the back of the dog's neck. She sighs again. Got it. Okay, bye. Then, thinking if she's the same as Dad and doesn't like dogs, she might have his thing about manners too. So I say, thank you very much, I search for her name. Linda. She laughs. It worked. Thank you for calling the University Hospital of Wales, Reese. I hang up with a smile on my face. Linda's taken my number, but you already know that, I say to the dog. I scratch him under the chin and he stretches his neck towards me. Like that, do you? You're a good boy. My smile falls away a little. I did the right thing calling the hospital and telling Linda, but part of me wishes I hadn't. The episode of the dog rescuers I watched last night pops into my head. Dr. Jimmy said Spirit's owners didn't claim him after 14 days, so then he could be rehomed. I don't want to hope too much because this black Labrador is someone's dog and not just any dog, an assistance one. But what happens if the hospital don't call back? Does that mean I could keep him?
It's absolutely lovely. So, as I said, this is your debut novel. So what have you been doing up till now? And did you always want to be a writer?
Always, yeah. I've always wanted to be a writer. I always loved reading and writing from a very, very young age. And actually, I found a story the other day when I was looking through some old school books. And I found a story that I wrote when I was 10 about a lost dog called Stanley. And so, and I'd obviously completely forgotten about it. It was a really long time ago. But yeah, I found that really funny that I was at 10 years old, I was writing a story about a lost dog. Yeah. But yeah, at the moment I work in a school library, actually, which I absolutely love. And I've been working there since September. And yeah, it's just amazing. Actually, today one of the kids, I saw them walking around with my book tucked under their arm, and she came up to me and she said, "Miss, I love your book," and that was amazing. So yeah, that's where I am right now.
Oh, how
It
rewarding.
was amazing. Yeah, really
Must
made
have
me very
really,
happy.
really touched your heart, that.
Yeah, they've been so
Nothing better.
so enthusiastic about it as well. So it's been really lovely.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as I said, it is a very touching book and a very powerful story, and incredibly moving. So, can you tell me a little bit about what the inspiration was behind the story?
Yeah, so um, my mum died when I was a teenager, so I think, and she was ill for quite a long time before that, and so I think I've always been drawn to sad stories, basically,
Yeah.
um, and I kind of came up with this idea maybe about 8 years ago, and I decided to do a master's in writing for children.
Hmm.
And this was one of the ideas that I brought along to do as one of my main projects, and then I was kind of toying between this idea and a new one, and then my dad died, and I thought that if I was going to write about the immediacy of grief, that was the time to do it. So yeah, the fact that it's very sad is because I was very sad when I was writing it. So all of those feelings, that Reese feels, I was basically just channeling that into my writing. Um,
Well, I have to say, my overriding feeling towards Reese was I just wanted to hug him.
yeah,
I just wanted to reach into the book and cuddle this poor kid, you
yeah.
know.
He has to deal with a lot. I'm very mean,
Yeah,
very
he
mean to
does
my character.
indeed. He does indeed. I suppose now, obviously, there's a big spoiler that we're actually going to have to give away because otherwise we can't really discuss the book. So, can you explain a little bit about this dog that Reese has found, please?
So yeah, he's a black Labrador with conker eyes and ears like triangles of velvet, and he, like I said earlier, he appears under his mum's hospital bed, basically the night before she dies. And Reese is obsessed with dogs. He wants to be a vet. He specifically loves black Labradors. They're his favourite dog, and so Worthington kind of appears after his mum has died, and he is basically a manifestation of grief. So throughout the novel, it's kind of ambiguous as to whether he's real or not. And I didn't want to kind of, I toyed back and forth when I was writing it. I had, in a previous version, it was very obvious that he wasn't real from the beginning. And then I kind of pulled that back a bit because I did want it to be a bit ambiguous. Because the thing is, in Reese, and it's written in first person, so in Reese's mind, he is completely real. He's the thing that Reese needs at that time is he needs this dog to be real, and he needs to believe that he is. So I wanted the reader to believe that he was real as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
which you do. You do. This description of the way Worthington feels and the huff of his breath is just wonderful, wonderful. I felt as though I could see him myself. Absolutely
He's
lovely.
based on my dog, so my actual dog. Yeah,
Now I was going to ask that whether he is based on a
yeah.
pet of your own.
Yeah, so I've got a Labrador. He's a fox red lab, but he is all the mannerisms, everything. I stole it all from Obi.
Oh,
So
oh, that's so cute.
yeah, all the limping. Obi's got very bad arthritis, so
Yeah.
like the limping that Worthington does, and all his weirdness. I took that from Obi.
So obviously the main theme of the story is about Reese's grief and how it manifests, but there's also reference to his stepmom's postnatal depression. And I really felt that you dealt with that so delicately. Why was that something you wanted to include?
It kind of came towards the end of the writing process, actually. I just felt like, I suppose it shows that everyone is dealing with things all at the same time, and obviously Therese, the main thing that he is dealing with is his mum's death, but you've got all these other characters that also have these rich full lives, and they're all and everyone is dealing with things all the time. And I suppose I wanted to show that that we all have issues that we're working through. So it wasn't specifically from any experience. It was just it kind of just fell into the story, and it felt right, really, to have that in there.
I think it's very important for kids to see, that adults have these problems too, and it's not just children that have these problems. So I was really pleased to see that in there. Also, of course, book has got illustrations as well by the phenomenal David Litchfield. Yeah, I love his illustrations.
Amazing. Yeah.
Were you as blown away by them as I think everybody else will be?
I mean, it's really funny because before I found out that he was going to be the illustrator, probably the Christmas before, I think I found out in the spring, but in the Christmas before, I was actually in a large bookshop in central London, and I was looking for a book for my nephew, and I picked up The Bear and the Piano, and I started reading it, and I just got so kind of absorbed into it that I was like filling up with tears reading it in the middle of this bookshop in central London. So it really moved me. And then so when I found out it was him, I was so excited. And obviously, thematically, I feel like The Bear and the Piano is about belonging, and essentially my dog is about belonging as well. It's about, where is home when the home you thought you had doesn't exist anymore. So, the themes are very similar there. So, yeah, and I think he just totally got that. And I love all the illustrations in the book. I just think he's incredible. He's so layered with his, even though they're in black and white, there's just so many layers to them. And I'm in awe. I can't draw, so I'm just like, wow, how is that possible?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. You look at, and I think the thing is with David Litchfield's illustrations, you look at them a first time and you think you've seen everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go back to it and you think, oh, I didn't notice that nuance. I didn't notice that. As you say, they're so multi-layered. They're just perfect.
I mean, even on the cover, if you look at the cover, and in the foreground, obviously you've got Reese and Worthington, but then in the background you've got the Gherkin, and you've got all these. I think the Shard is on there as well, and all these buildings that are just in the background, just adding that extra layer of kind of believability, really, to it. He's amazing.
Well, it is such a difference for Reese, isn't it? When you think, he's coming from Wales to London, which is absolutely huge, and very different place from where he's been living, and that's an adjustment as well as anything else, isn't it? It's just
hugely, yeah. He's got a lot of changes, and it is about coming to terms with changes as much as it is about it's not about getting over his mum's death at all. It's about accepting that his life has changed.
Yeah.
And yeah, part of that is him kind of moving from the familiarity of home to somewhere that is completely different. And yeah, so I set it in Blackheath actually because I live in Blackheath. So when I was walking around trying to write it, the heath where I walk my dog on, there's houses that the house where Reese lives in my head is like one of the houses that's on the heath, and it's really it sounds completely bonkers, but these characters are alive. They're walking around this this village where I live. And yeah, and it is a big adjustment. I moved from Wales to Blackheath, so I was inspired by that, I suppose.
Ah, you see, now I grew up in New Cross.
Oh,
So I
okay.
spent a lot of time on Blackheath.
Yeah.
A lot of time travelling up there and going to Greenwich Park. And I always say Greenwich Park was my playground when I was growing up, So for me, yes, when you were talking about the Heath, I was imagining those big, beautiful houses that are on the edge of the Heath. So yeah. I'm very glad I was thinking correctly.
That's exactly, yeah. There's one that was as I was writing the book, it was being done up, and Reese's dad's house is like recently renovated, and so that was the one in my mind that I was like, there's a few little things. If you know Blackheath, you would recognise but I love that about books when you are familiar with the area and just, there's a few little details that just ring true, because I think setting is so important. It really kind of gives a grounding to the story when the setting is clear.
Oh, very much so. So, are we allowed to ask what you're working on next?
So yeah, I'm writing it at the moment. It's got a dog in it. I don't know how much I can say, but I think it'll be out next year, next February, hopefully. Thematically similar, different stories set in Wales about a boy and his granddad and the ghost of a Welsh pit pony. So
Oh,
yeah, that's probably all I can say.
that's fine. That sounds intriguing. We should definitely look forward to reading that one. Are you going to make me cry again, though?
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the game. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm very much an emotion-led writer, so I have to know how the character feels, and that's the thing I think with characters is they react, their emotions lead their actions. So you have to be able to tap into the emotion to be able to find out what happens next. So that's why this is so emotional. I mean, everything Reese does, and the whole story is led by the way he feels about things
Yeah.
and how he acts and what the cause and effect of that. So yeah, I hope
Well,
hopefully it'll make you cry. We'll
I
see.
have to say, I mean, obviously, I read many, many books, in the course of this, and some stay with me, not all stay with me, but the cemetery scene will stay with me. Definitely will stay with me, and beautifully done,
Oh,
beautifully, delicately done, and yeah, absolutely loved it. Absolutely
oh,
loved it. Look, tears are coming
you're gonna
now.
make me cry.
Even thinking about it, it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
As always, the time has just flown today. And thank you so much for coming and talking to us about the book. And yeah, Ghost of a Pit Pony certainly sounds interesting. I shall look forward to reading that next year. Thank you very much, Olivia. Thank you for coming to speak to us about the book. And we look forward to speaking to you again perhaps next year.
Thanks for having me.